Hello friends, welcome back to the operating system session. Today's topic we are having is a CPU scheduling. So let's start with the CPU scheduling. So this is the process to select which process is ready for the execution and allocate CPU to it. So as we know that there are n number of processes which are running in the system. So we have to decide which process is currently ready for the execution. So let us take one example now. Suppose there are two processes or three processes we are having and they are waiting for the allocation of the CPU. Now, these all processes are waiting inside the ready queue. So we are having different types of ready queues also, and this ready queue is one of those. And these processes are waiting inside the ready queue only. So let us suppose that any one of the process has got the CPU allocation. So this is how the allocation of CPU has been done. So, but at one time only one process is going to get the CPU. Suppose if the CPU has been allocated to P1 process, it means after the completion of the execution of P1 process only, P2 is going to get the CPU. So basically, who is going to decide all these things, that which is the process who is going to get the CPU? So this has been decided by the CPU scheduler, very important component we are having. So this is going to select one of the process from the ready queue. So this ready queue we have done. So it is going to select one of the process, like we can assume that right now P1 has been selected for the CPU allocation. So CPU scheduler is going to select this thing, that P1 is going to get the CPU and he is ready for the allocation. So next component we are having is the dispatcher. So basically, who is going to assign the CPU to P1 process? That is the dispatcher component. So the control of CPU is given to the process by the dispatcher, and the selection part is done by the CPU scheduler. So I hope you got both the components. Okay. Next topic of CPU scheduling we are having is the types of CPU scheduling. So very two important types we are having. The very first one we are having is primitive, and second one we are having is non-primitive. So let us see the difference among both types. The very first type we are having is the primitive. Again, we will explain with the help of examples. There are two processes P1 and P2, and they both are waiting for the allocation of the CPU. And let us assume that P1 comes first and we have allocated the CPU to P1 process. But in the case of primitive, we are saying that we are going to follow one of the attribute. It can be the least execution time or it can be the priority. So let us take one condition of priority, that P2 is having the priority greater than the P1. So this means that once the CPU has been allocated to P1 process, if there is any condition comes that P2 is having the higher priority, so we are going to preempt this time, which means that we are going to take away the CPU from the ongoing process P1 and will allocate the CPU to the another process who is having the higher priority. So this is called primitive, and this thing we are taking back the CPU from P1 process and giving to another process with the higher priority P2 process is also known as the context switching. So very important term we are going to see throughout this chapter, context switching. Context switching means when the CPU is switches from one process to another process. This is called context switching. Okay, then a second example we are having is the non-primitive. Same example we will take. We are having two processes P1 and P2, and they both are waiting for the CPU allocation. So it means that again we are assuming this thing, CPU has been allocated to P1 process because it put the request of CPU first. So CPU has been allocated to P1 process. Suppose we are saying that the execution time of the P1 process is 10 milliseconds. It means that what P2 is going to do now, P2 has to wait for the CPU allocation for the 10 milliseconds. It means that P2 will get the CPU after the completion of the P1 process only. So this is called, we are not going to take CPU back from the ongoing process P1 and will allocate to P2 only. We will wait for the completion of the process only. So this is called non-primitive. And the second we are using is no context switching. So see, we are not in between, we are allocating the CPU to any another process. So we can say that there is no context switching. Context switching will occur, but after the completion of the execution only. So this is, I hope you got both the differences uh, between the primitive and the non-primitive. So next topic we are having is the CPU scheduling criteria. On what basis we are actually deciding the CPU scheduling? So we are having some parameters. On those parameters we are making that decision. First of all, both parameters are divided among two categories. One, on one side it is maximize, which means that these parameters we are going to maximize, and the second side we are having the minimize, which means that all these parameters we are going to minimize. If we are going to maximize these parameters and if we are going to minimize these parameters, then only we are going to call our system a better performer system or an efficient system. So let us see now all these parameters. So first of all, the category of to be maximized. The very first parameter is CPU utilization. So as I told you, we are never going to make our CPU idle. If in any of the case CPU is going to get idle, it means that system is not considered as the fair system, or that system is not considered as the best system. So we have to keep our CPU as much as busy as we can. Okay, second parameter we are having is the throughput. Very famous term we are having, throughput. Throughput is number of processes are going to complete per unit time, which means that suppose if 5 processes are there, it means all the 5 processes will get the CPU and they are going to complete their execution on time. So this is called throughput. If out of 5, if either 4 or you can say either 3 are going to complete their execution, which means I'm left with 1 or 2, that again in that case we will not be saying that our system is a fair system. So if total 5 processes are there, means all the 5 will complete their execution. This is called throughput. Next we are having is to be minimized. So what parameters we are going to minimize? The very first one is the turnaround time. So very important term. So we will see all these terms while solving the numericals also. The very first one is the turnaround time. It is basically the time interval between the submission of the process and its completion, which means that suppose P1 process which arrives at suppose 5 milliseconds, and suppose it completes by 25. So which means that how we are going to calculate the turnaround time? Here it arrives and here it completes. So it is going, turnaround time will be calculated as 25 minus 5, that is equal to 20. So this is how we are actually calculating the turnaround time. Okay, next term we are having is the waiting time. So what is this waiting time? So waiting time is the average time of a process which is spent on waiting. So let us take another example. Suppose P1 process comes and the burst time or the execution time is 10 milliseconds and CPU has been allocated to P1 process. It means that P2, the another process, has to wait inside the ready queue for 10 milliseconds. So this is called waiting time. So next, the last parameter we are having is the response time. What is this response time? It is the amount of time in which the request was submitted until the first response is produced. Suppose one of the process arrives at zero time interval, suppose, and it got the CPU at suppose 5 milliseconds. Let us suppose it got 5 milliseconds. So how we are going to calculate the response time? When it put the request and when he got the CPU for the first time. That means 5 minus 0 is equal to 5. So this is called how we are calculating the response time. Okay, I hope all these parameters are very much clear. So all these parameters, if we are going to minimize all these parameters, we are going to minimize, then only we will be considering our system as the best system or the efficient system. Okay, the last topic we are having is the types of scheduling algorithm. So all these types we are having, we will be doing all these scheduling algorithm one by one. We will be solving some numericals. So let us see first of all these names now. The very first one, the simple one we are having is the first come first serve, the priority scheduling algorithm, then shortest remaining, then shortest job we are having. It is one of the, you can say, second version of the shortest remaining time only, shortest job and shortest remaining time. Then another algorithm we are having is the round robin scheduling algorithm, and the last one, the new one we are having, is the multi-level queue scheduling algorithm. So we will be seeing all these categories, all these algorithms according to the different types. Also, what are the you can say algorithm which fall under primitive type, and what are the algorithms which fall under the non-primitive type. So I hope you got some information regarding the CPU scheduling, and soon we are going to start with the scheduling algorithm with some numericals. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.